Okay, so recently I accidentally stumbled on a crazy new AI tool, and I'm genuinely shocked because seriously, no one is talking about it. Nope, no one. Even though, as I will show you, I think that this has a lot of potential to make a lot of money here on YouTube. But yes, I don't want to waste your time with a long, boring intro. So let's just jump straight into it. So this here is the tool, Wondercraft AI. This is an AI audio generator tool. It lets you generate speech audio clips, and they have a huge number of hosts to pick from. But while that's nice and all, there is one tool in particular that they have in their app, their podcast generator. And this is the tool that I am most excited about, because you can use it to, seriously, no joke, generate any type of podcast that you like. And if you follow the tutorial that I'll give you on how to use it, it can sound scarily realistic. For example, I took this news article from the BBC about UK finance, and I generated a chatty podcast between two hosts chatting about it, and it sounds again like a genuine real podcast. So we will just give this a quick listen and you can see what I mean.
All right, Mark, so I've got something really interesting for our finance forecast listeners today, and I think this one's right up your alley.
Well, so now you've got me curious. What are we diving into today then?
Well, I've been seeing these headlines about wage growth lately, and it sounds for once actually promising. Could you break it down for us? What's actually going on here?
Right, yes. So, here's the thing. We've just got the latest figures, and they're showing that pay, after we factor in inflation and everything, has gone up by like 3.4%. And what's really amazing about this is that it's actually the fastest growth we've seen in like more than 3 years.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? It sounds exactly like a professionally edited podcast. Now, of course, I know some people will probably be like, okay, Sarah, that's cool and all. But why does this make you so excited? And that is a fair question. And it's because, you see, I'm a bit of a nerd, and I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on YouTube recently about World War II history and true crime. And honestly, I couldn't help but notice that recently a lot of the podcasts YouTube has been recommending to me were AI generated. Like, take this podcast, for example, in the true crime niche that YouTube recommended to me. It was posted just 4 months ago, and it's had over 200,000 views. And well, as I was watching, I couldn't help but notice and think, that sounds a lot like an AI voiceover, and also those look like AI generated pictures too. So we'll just give it a quick watch so that you can see what I mean.
She was active in the local community, often participating in church events and organizing neighborhood barbecues. Carol's friendly nature made her well-liked by everyone who knew her.
So yeah, you see what I mean, right? I can't prove it, but I'm 99% certain that that is AI. But yes, this got me curious. So I went to their channel and I sorted through their videos by oldest uploaded, and I discovered in my detective work that this channel is just 5 months old. And I browsed through and I saw that in their first month, they uploaded 16 videos. And that is a lot of videos. As a content creator, I can tell you that that would be pretty much impossible for you to do if you are a human. But if you are an AI robot, well, you can make each video in less than an hour. So it makes sense that they were able to upload so many so quickly. Needless to say, this made me even more curious. And so I decided in my detective work to go through and add up all of the views that they had gotten in their first month's worth of videos. And to my astonishment, it came to over 1 million views, which is actually quite interesting, because if you go onto Reddit, true crime creators have shared that for videos of similar length, YouTube's monetization program will pay them a €9 RPM. And RPM, if you've never heard that phrase before, means revenue per 1,000 views. Because you see, YouTube has a monetization program for creators. They pay creators, like me, a split of the ad revenue that gets played on their videos. So then, if we were to do the math, using a €9 RPM, we can estimate that a true crime channel like this could earn around €9,665 per month from this many views, which when you convert into US dollars from euros comes out to over $10,000 just from their first month's videos, which is pretty cool. So yes, AI podcasts are an interesting new side hustle. So this, of course, made me even more curious, and I've been testing out a lot of different podcasting apps out there. And this one was by far and away my favorite. So then I'll show you how it works. To get started, just click to create a new audio and select to start from blank. Then after that, you'll be taken to the audio generator. Now, the way that you can generate audio is that, like most other AI apps out there, you can just prompt it, you can tell it exactly what you want it to make. However, you don't even have to do that if you don't want to, because if you click on Library, you can select from one of their many prompts they've already created for you for the most popular styles of podcasts. And out of these, the most interesting one by far is the Notebook LM podcast prompt, so we will be using this one. And the reason why we'll be using it is that it's the one that I think, again, is the most interesting because it's the prompt that generates the classic chatty back and forth podcast style featuring two hosts that is so engaging to listen to. And the reason why it is called the Notebook LM podcast prompt is because Google's research app Notebook LM was, I'm pretty sure, the first AI app out there to be able to create realistic chatty AI podcasts like this. And the way that Notebook LM works is simple. Once inside, you just link to a page or upload a document with text information. Google's AI will then use this to generate a chatty podcast for you. And just like Wondercraft, these AI podcasts sound scarily like actual real people talking. So again, we'll just give it a quick listen so that you can see what I mean.
All right, so today, let's take a deep dive into what's happening with pay and inflation over in the UK.
Okay.
You know, things might be feeling a little bit better in your wallet lately.
Right.
And the data seems to back that up. Wages are actually growing at their fastest rate in years.
So yeah, again, it's kind of crazy, right? Especially when you consider that unlike Wondercraft, which does require a paid creator account if you want to get access to most of the hosts and extra editing tools, Notebook LM is 100% free. So if you're curious and you want to try out podcasting AI technology for yourself, you can just go and try it out right now. The problem though, of course, is that, surprise, surprise, because it is a free app, it does have quite a lot of limitations, such as being able to change your host and also around being able to edit your scripts. So while it is a very fun tool to play around with, it's not really suitable for the AI podcasting side hustle in the long term. However, that is okay, because by using this prompt that Wondercraft created, we can replicate this exact same style that these Notebook LM chatty podcasts have. So then, all you gotta do is go in and fill the blanks in of the prompt. So first up, add URLs to the pages that you want it to use as sources or upload a PDF. Then tell it roughly how long you'd like it to be. Although, when it comes to this, I do have to say that as of me filming my video right now, Wondercraft AI is not very good at sticking to the time length that you tell it to. Nope. I've noticed that the AI for me will often take liberties with this, so my podcast will often end up being 1 to 2 minutes longer. When it comes to length, the AI seems to prioritize creating more engaging scripts over sticking to your prompt time exactly. Although, as I'll show you, you can change this later if you want. But yes, either way, after that, just tell it what your podcast is called and what your host names are. Then scroll down and click Generate. Depending upon how long your podcast is, this has taken me anywhere from 30 seconds up to 10 minutes for it to complete. This one ended up being around 2.5 minutes to generate, and the podcast itself was at this stage about 11 minutes. So then, once it is finished generating, you will see that it has automatically selected some hosts for us. And honestly, in my experience, these are a bit of a mixed bag. Some of the picks are amazing hosts, sometimes the picks are not so great. So we can now listen back and decide if we like the sound of them.
So I've got something super exciting to share with our finance forecast listeners today. And, Mark, I think you're gonna love this one.
You know what? I absolutely do, because we're talking about something that affects, like, literally everyone's wallets right now.
So yeah, for me, when I was listening back to the hosts, they were honestly not the vibe that I was looking for. Nope. Given the fact that this was a serious podcast about finance, I figure I wanted older, more down-to-earth podcasters who you could believe have had years of experience previously working in finance and covering financial news. And of course, as this was a UK finance podcast, I obviously wanted my podcasters to have a UK accent, not an American accent. And so to change them, just click on a host and then select to change their voice. Now you can scroll through the hosts and listen to them to see if you like how they sound. For example, this is how Bria sounds.
Leap into the future with joy. Every moment is a step towards your grandest adventure.
And something else that's actually quite interesting is that a lot of the voices can also speak in different languages. So, for example, you can see that if you chose Bria, she can speak not only just English, but these other languages too, which again is interesting because it means that you could potentially make your podcast global, opening up even more opportunities to scale your monetization potential. Plus, another really interesting feature is that the Pro accounts also have the ability to edit each voice too. So if you liked the sound of Bria, but you wanted her voice to instead be an upbeat classic British accent, you can come in and change that. And so now if we come and give it a listen, you'll see how different it sounds.
So I've got something super exciting to share with our finance forecast listeners today. And Mark, I think you're going to love this one.
But yes, the truth is that when I first started using this, I found having hundreds of hosts to pick from kind of overwhelming until I realized that you can get really specific with the search filters. Yep, so you can filter by gender and age and the characteristics that you're looking for based on what your podcast is about, and language spoken and accent. And then it will pick for you a bunch of voices that match this description. And so by doing that, I discovered 2 voices that I liked. The first was Grace, who I picked to be my first host, and the second was Gary, who I made my second host. So yes, once you have your host, we can go ahead and use ChatGPT to make our AI podcast sound even more scarily realistic. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, me. Yes, so because of the fact that, as my longtime subscribers know, I have been struggling to find sponsors because of the fact that there has been a big influx of shady YouTube sponsors, like Honey, I have failed to find another sponsor for this video, and so because of that, I'm just going to sponsor it myself. And I'm sponsoring it to let you know that if you'd like to know how I generate AI art and then sell it for a profit onto clothing and accessories using print on demand, you should be sure to download a copy of my free ebook, The 6 Steps that 6-Figure Online Stores Follow to Make Over $10,000 a Month. You'll find a link to download my free ebook in the video description below. But anyway, back to the video. Yes, so as I said, we can now use ChatGPT to go in and make our script even more realistic because unlike Notebook LM, Wondercraft lets us edit each specific segment of the script of our podcast. Yep, so if there are any segments that you don't like or that you think could be better, a free way to fix them is of course just to use ChatGPT. Tell it what your podcast is about, explain who the hosts are, and tell it that you want the script to sound less awkward, more natural, and more realistic. And then give it the segments that you want it to edit, and it usually does a pretty good job. So then, once I've worked with ChatGPT to fix my awkward segments, I just come back into Wondercraft and I change it. And something else that you can do is you can also change how quick the audio is. So by default, it is set to 1x speed. And well, this is what it sounds like when it is set to 1x speed.
All right, Mark, so I've got something really interesting for our finance forecast listeners today.
And so while that is okay, honestly, for a chatty news podcast, commentators do tend to chat at a slightly faster pace than what most people would talk at. A lot like how we YouTubers also tend to talk quickly too when we're filming our videos. So then what we can do is we can come in and change each clip to be 1.1x speed. And now it will instead sound like this.
All right, Mark, so I've got something really interesting for our finance forecast listeners today.
So yes, it is a subtle but important difference. So then, once you've got it sounding the way that you want, click Generate All. This will now finalize each of your podcast audio clips. This process took less than a minute for a podcast of this size, which by now was just under 10 minutes and used up about 10 of my monthly credits. And then next, I just clicked Export and set the download to be the highest quality MP3, and then I just clicked to download. And then, just like that, I had created my own AI podcast. Nice. So then, if you would like to try it for yourself, I will of course include a link to it in the description, and I will also include a link to Notebook LM where you can go and you can try that for free as well. And I will see you in the next video.